always taken the view that the enrollment of subject matter experts is different from using a generic assessment of excellence where the main focus tended to be on excellence per se, as opposed to the excellence in terms of standards and in terms of achievements and in terms of the ability of an organization to achieve at the highest level and build a sustainable momentum for its future. What we would like to suggest here is a process that can help the assessment process, particularly for this point in time. One is a closed loop process that can give a preliminary prognosis about what might be expected, what might be evaluated, what might be revealed, and even what might exist. The prognosis process starts with the SMEs asking the question, what was the previous excellence maturity state? And they will have the opportunity to examine the previous feedback report. And the purpose of doing so is to perhaps build an anticipation, which is asking the question, what might exist in terms of a level of excellence within the organization? Should it have adhered to the recommendations of the report, and should it have emphasized more on the critical areas that were highlighted by the previous SME team? So this prognosis stage is very critical. So on the one hand, it is to highlight the most critical recommendations that were made by the previous SME teams, and also to look at what can be expected in terms of implementability and launch of new initiatives to address deficient areas, or also to reinforce strong areas. This also leads to the level of maturity in terms of new thinking applied, learning and development, and how that can be reflected in terms of the level of robustness that the key capabilities have as a result, and what new transformational initiatives have been introduced and what has been phased out in terms of the old thinking, and so on and so forth. So the whole prognosis exercise will help when it comes to the moment of truth, which is the start of the site visit. The site visit seeks to answer an overall question about the current level of achievement and the current level of excellence maturity. So the starting point must be to focus on whether leadership indeed drives excellence, and how it does so. Is it through inspiring through the vision? Is it through encouraging engagement throughout? Or is it in terms of challenging status quo and transforming the entity with modern digital infrastructure, for instance, with putting innovation as the main driving force, or overhauling with disruptive thinking in order to create a lean machine, a customer-centric entity, and a set of capabilities that can create value and generate significant impact. There are perhaps three components that holistically will represent the assessment. One is the planning aspects, the deployment of KPIs, the focus on core functions, the mapping and systemization of processes for optimization purposes, something that we refer to as the drivability of excellence. The second component is about the enablement of excellence. What makes it happen? What gives it a boost? Where is the areas that represent the main catalyst? Is it human capital engagement? Is it the smart technology that could be made pervasive and allow the flow of information, which is timely, high quality, reliable, dependable? It is the sophistication in the analytics, using all the data available to support the decision-making process. All of these questions can be found within the enablement aspect of driving excellence. The third element, of course, is the impactability of excellence, is to look at holistically the life cycle of creating a results-oriented culture, in terms of designing the KPIs, in terms of defining their purpose, in terms of creating a nomenclature of KPIs, in terms of the deployment, in terms of the relevance, and of course in terms of tracking the impact at various levels. The immediate impact, of course, is on the customer, and the second level of impact is on the organization itself, and the third level is the lasting outcomes, which could be related to the quality of life of a citizen, of a customer externally. So the whole process can be described through these 7 Ds, the directing, deploying, developing, delivering, delighting, disrupting, and discovering. And the key question is to look at the level of readiness to really create this ecosystem which is dynamic, which is thriving, which is healthy, and which helps the entity achieve performance excellence in the key areas and get close to the pinnacle of its success by achieving a dominant position.